Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai.
Jai.
Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Jai.
Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai.
Jai.
Vrindavan Dham ki jai.
Jai.
Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai.
Jai.
Ganga Mai ki jai.
Jai.
Jamuna Mai ki jai.
Jai.
Tulsi Devi ki jai.
Jai.
Bhakti Devi ki jai.
Jai.
Brahmaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari Bol.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Ramani. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We're reading, studying, discussing Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, Adi Lila, chapter, Lord Chaitanya's childhood activities, text 91.
এত শুনি দ্বিজ গেলা হয়া আনন্দিত, মিশ্র জাগিয়া হইলা পরম বিস্মিত।
Being very pleased, the Brahmin left after talking with Jagannath Mishra. And when Jagannath Mishra awakened from his dream, he was very much astonished.
বন্ধু বান্ধব স্থানে স্বপ্ন কহিল, শুনিয়া সকল লোক বিস্মিত হইল।
He related the dream to his friends and relatives, and every one of them was very much astonished to hear it.
এই মতো শিশুলীলা করে গৌরচন্দ্র, দিনে দিনে পিতা মাতার বাড়ায় আনন্দ।
In this way, Gaur Hari performed his childhood pastimes, and day after day increased the pleasure of his parents.
কতদিনে মিশ্র পুত্রের হাতে খড়ি দিল, অল্প দিনে দ্বাদশ ফলা অক্ষর শিখিল।
After some days, Jagannath Mishra inaugurated the primary education of his son by performing the Hate Kadi ceremony. Within a very few days, the Lord learned all the letters and combinations of letters. Purport. The 12 phala, or combinations of letters, are called Repa, Murdhanya, cerebral, Na, Dantavya, dental, Na, Ma, Ya, Ra, La, Va, Ri, La, and L. Hate Kadi, Hate, is I saying that right? How do you say that?
হাতে খড়ি।
Hate Kori is the primary educational beginning. At the age of 4 or 5 years, on an auspicious day called Vidyarambha, marking the beginning of primary education, there is a ceremony worshiping Lord Vishnu. And after that, the teacher gives the child a long chalk pencil. Then, guiding the hand of the student, he instructs him how to write the letters of the alphabet, a, I, etc., by writing big letters on the floor. When the child is a little advanced in writing, he is given a slate for his primary education, which ends when he learns the two-letter combinations, which are called phala, as mentioned above. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Shapandantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before speaking, I'm requesting permission from the devotees and their blessings, especially those who are senior by age or advancement in Krishna consciousness. Yes, Hare Krishna. I looked up this 12 phala, but I didn't find anything I could repeat. Perhaps somebody there knows. Did you follow the system of education? These are, of course, Sanskrit. Sanskrit was used to be the beginning of education. I don't know if any of you were educated in Sanskrit in your early days. No? Brother Vindyavali, no?
Sanskrit and Telugu are just, they are very close in that we do that when they say and other things, the letters, they make us write and they made us say that like that.
Aha. Yeah.
There's a function they do that.
So saying and writing the same, writing this, yeah.
Yeah, then and they made us write on that slate.
Just like here, just like Lord Chaitanya did after first making the letters on the ground. Then after a little advancement, then they give you a slate. Now they give you a computer, but you can't read. That's a little different.
Need cell phone and computer.
Right. So that's so Srila Prabhupada also for the in the Gurukul, he encouraged teaching the young children the Sanskrit alphabet and some Sanskrit grammar as well. I don't know if they still do, but that was the system in the Gurukul there. So Lord Chaitanya here is beginning. So this is all the things that we heard up till now, all the activities and pastimes were up till this 4th or 5th year. So what were some, just to recall, what were some of these activities that you recall from Lord Chaitanya's, from his early childhood now to this is his 4th or 5th year? Do you recall any of them? It's called the Smaranam, remembering. Yeah.
See,
he talked to his mother about the pot, and there was that pastime.
The cleanliness, whether it's clean or non-clean.
Yeah.
Yes, that was one. Good. Any other?
The thief, which tried to steal the jewelries, returned back home.
Oh, the kidnappers. The kidnappers, yes. They saw Lord Chaitanya outside with his valuable ornaments, and they thought, oh, we'll take him away. And in the place, we'll take those jewels and maybe kill him. But they came back around and they started at the same place, so they ran away. Yes. Good. Others.
On Ekadashi day, he had asked for the prasad.
Yes. The prasad from Jagadish and Haranya, where Brahmins living at a distance, a couple of miles away. So I asked a number of devotees about that, about that instance. And some of you have, excuse me, and some of you also responded with some information about that. because Mother Mukti Datri said that there's a tradition that below 8 years old, a child doesn't necessarily follow. So apparently in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, there's a couple of quotes, one from the Caitanya Smriti, which says that, yes, children under 8 don't need to follow this Ekadashi. But in another Shastra called the Markandeya Purana, it's recommended that everybody follow, even young children, by just, they might eat fruit or milk, very simple foods. So then it was a little bit, nothing was concluded. So then I asked the different devotees, what did Srila Prabhupada say? Because we follow that. So I asked Dayananda, who used to be in charge of the Gurukul in Dallas. He said, as far as he remembers, everybody followed, even the young children. I also asked Mother Sangeeta, who used to do a Gurukul in Hawaii. She also said the same thing. So then last night, there was a program at the temple with Bhakti Purushottam Swami, Mayapur. I asked him, and he said he's got to get back to me. He's not sure. So anyway, the conclusion is still pending on that one. Yes. So he got that. Lord Chaitanya was just a boy, young boy. He pretended or said he had a fever, and but he needed to be cured by the special prasadam that the Hiranya and Jagadish had cooked. So he sent his father there, and they were surprised. How is it that he knows that we're cooking the special prasadam? But they brought it, Jagannath Mishra brought it back, and he, Lord Chaitanya took it, and it was cured from his disease. Other early pastimes, come on.
As a baby, he induced everybody to chant by crying.
That's right. By crying, and when the ladies or whoever it was chanted the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then he stopped crying. So if we wanted Lord Chaitanya to stop crying, then chant Hare Krishna, right? Anything else?
I don't know if this will be considered a pastime, but when he walked, Jagannath Mishra could hear the sound of bells, but he didn't have.
Yes, and they wondered, what is this? What is it? Where is this? Because he wasn't wearing the bells at the time. And also, Lord Chaitanya, as a baby, rolled over on his back and showed the markings on his feet. And then later they saw the same markings. They saw markings in the dust, and they thought maybe it was Shalagram Shila walking around as the Krishna form. But then they realized that they were the marks on their own son's feet that were marks of Vishnu. And in the Caitanya Caritamrita, there were 5 marks mentioned. 5. What were those 5? This is called Smaranam.
Shankh, one was Shankh.
Shankh, yes. One was the conch shell. What's another one?
The flag.
What's that?
The flag.
Flag, that's right, flag. Another.
Umbrella.
What's that?
Umbrella.
Well, not mentioned, it might be, but not mentioned in Caitanya Caritamrita.
Thunderbolt.
Thunderbolt, yes.
Nice.
Fish.
Fish and last one.
Lotus.
What's that?
Lotus.
Yeah, but not mentioned. Lotus, but not mentioned. The last one was disc. Chakra. Yeah, those 5 are mentioned. So then I asked also Bhakti Purushottam Swami, because they recently had a installation of Lord Chaitanya's feet in Mayapur, and they had all these different symbols on them. So he said he'll get back to me on that one also. Where's the authority? Because we looked. I also asked Acharya Prabhu. He couldn't find the authority on that. So maybe it's there. It's probably there, but we just haven't located it yet. Yes. Any other pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in his childhood before 5 years old?
He taught Achintya to his mother. Achintya Veda Vedas.
Oh, because he ate, she taught him. She taught him. He ate dirt, right?
I was thinking he taught her.
Well, ultimately, yes, you're correct. Yeah, ultimately, you're correct. But by having her explain to him why eating rice and dal is better than eating dirt, yes. And also, other things was there. He met
Brahmana
Lakshmi Devi. He met Lakshmi Devi on the bank of the Ganges. He also requested the girls who were worshiping Lord Shiva and then Mother Katyayani to give the worship of the articles to him instead. Remember? And then he blessed them. That's that. And then this one that was just mentioned here is that Lord Jagannath Mishra had a dream that he had chastised or instructed his son, Lord Chaitanya, and a Brahmin in his dream said, "Come on, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What good is your instructions for him?" So what did Jagannath Mishra say?
I don't know anything. He's my child.
Yes,
The duty to.
I
correct.
must instruct him. I must instruct him. That's whoever he may be. Whoever he may be. He might be even Narayan. I don't care, but I have to instruct him. That's the duty of So the Brahmin was very pleased seeing Jagannath Mishra's being fixed in the service mood of the parent towards Lord Chaitanya. So those were ones I remember too.
Fighting with friends.
Yes, there was some fighting and also taking things from people's houses. Yeah, that also. Good.
And one more is Brahmin comes to home.
Ah, yes. And what happened?
He revealed his form, that is Krishna.
Yeah, but still before that, what happened? What was that?
Well, he was calling him, calling Lord Krishna, but he was coming and accepting the offerings.
Yeah, he was eating the offerings. Lord Chaitanya was eating the offerings. So he became, the third time he became he was exasperated. So Lord Chaitanya revealed that he had been, the same person had done that at the house of Nanda Maharaj, that he was, and that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he blessed him that way. Very good. Good. So those are some of the things. I thought we'd just have a brief review. Childhood pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Text 95.
বাল্যলীলা সূত্র এই কইল অনুক্রম ইহা বিস্তারিয়াছেন দাস বৃন্দাবন.
This is a synopsis of the childhood pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, placed here within chronological order. Vrindavan Das has already elaborately explained these pastimes in his book Chaitanya Bhagavat.
অতএব এই লীলা সংক্ষেপে সূত্র কইল পুনরুক্তি ভয়ে বিস্তারিয়া না কহিল.
I have therefore made only a brief summary. Being afraid of repetition, I have not elaborated upon the subject matter.
শ্রীরূপ রঘুনাথ পদে যার আশ চৈতন্য চরিতামৃত কহে কৃষ্ণ দাস.
Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rup and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. Purport. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purports of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, 14th chapter, describing Lord Chaitanya's childhood pastimes. Okay. Chapter 15, the Lord's Pauganda Lila. A synopsis of the 15th chapter is as follows. The Lord took lessons in grammar from Gangadas Pandit and became very expert in commenting upon grammar. He forbade his mother to take grains on the Ekadashi day. He narrated a story that Visharu, after accepting the sannyas order, invited him in a dream to accept sannyas also. But the Lord refused and was therefore sent back home. When Jagannath Mishra passed away, the Lord married the daughter of Vallabhacharya, whose name was Lakshmi. All these events are summarized in this chapter. Text 1.
That's Sanskrit.
Kumana sumanastvam hi yat yati yasya padabjayo sumano paramatrena tam chaitanya prabhum bhaje. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, because simply by offering a flower at his lotus feet, even the most ardent materialist becomes a devotee. You can remember that the next time you go to the temple. Bring a flower. Text 2.
Joy, joy, Sri Chaitanya, joy Nityananda, joy Advaita Chandra, joy Gaur Bhakta Brindo.
All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya.
পৌগণ্ড লীলার সূত্র করিয়ে গণন পৌগণ্ড বয়সে প্রভুর মুখ্য অধ্যয়ন.
Let me now enumerate the activities of the Lord between the ages of 5 and 10. His chief occupation during this period was to engage himself in study.
Sanskrit again.
Pauganda Lila Chaitanya Krishna Syati Suvishprita Vidyaramba Mukha Pani Grahananta Manohara. The pastimes of the Lord during his Pauganda age were very extensive. His education was his chief occupation. And after that, his very beautiful marriage took place.
গঙ্গাদাস পণ্ডিত স্থানে পড়েন ব্যাকরণ শ্রবণ মাত্রে কণ্ঠে কইল সূত্র বৃত্তিগণ.
When the Lord was studying grammar at the place of Gangadas Pandit, he would immediately learn grammatical rules and definitions by heart, simply by hearing them once. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the Lord was given lessons by a teacher named Vishnu and another teacher named Sudarshan. Later on, when he was a little grown up, he was under the care of Gangadas Pandit, who taught him grammar of a higher standard. Anyone serious about studying the Sanskrit language should first learn grammar. It is said that simply to finish studying Sanskrit grammar takes at least 12 years. But once one learns the grammatical rules and regulations very nicely, all other scriptures or subject matters in Sanskrit are extremely easy to understand, for Sanskrit grammar is the gateway to education. Comments, questions? Text 6.
অল্পকালে হইলা পঞ্জি টিকাতে প্রবীণ চিরকালের পড়িয়া জিনে হইয়া নবীন.
He soon became so expert in commenting on the Panjitika that he could win victory over all the other students, although he was a neophyte. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says there was a commentary on grammar named Panjitika that was later explained very lucidly by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu.
অধ্যয়ন লীলা প্রভুর দাস বৃন্দাবন চৈতন্য মঙ্গলে হইল বিস্তারী বর্ণন.
In his book Chaitanya Mangal, which later became Chaitanya Bhagavat, Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur has very elaborately described the Lord's pastimes of study. Purport. The Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Kanda, chapters 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. Are a good reference for the studious pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
একদিন মাতার পদে করিয়া প্রণাম প্রভু কহে মাতা মোরে দেহ এক দান
One day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell down at the feet of his mother and requested her to give him one thing in charity.
মাতা বলে তাই দিব যা তুমি মাগিবে প্রভু কহে একাদশীতে অন্ন না খাইবে
His mother replied, "My dear son, I will give you whatever you ask." Then the Lord said, "My dear mother, please do not eat grains on the Ekadashi day." Purport. From the very beginning of his childhood life, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the system of observing a fast on the Ekadashi day. In the Bhakti Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami, there is a quotation from the Skanda Purana admonishing that a person who eats grains on Ekadashi becomes a murderer of his mother, father, brother, and spiritual master. And even if he is elevated to a Vaikuntha planet, he falls down. On Ekadashi, everything is cooked for Vishnu, including regular grains and dal. But it is enjoined that a Vaishnav should not even take Vishnu Prasad on Ekadashi. It is said that a Vaishnav does not accept anything eatable that is not offered to Lord Vishnu, but on Ekadashi, a Vaishnav should not touch even Mahaprasad offered to Lord Vishnu, although such prasadam may be kept for being eaten the next day. It is strictly forbidden for one to accept any kind of grain on Ekadashi, even if it is offered to Lord Vishnu. So here, in this case, it was the custom that, and we'll see this next purport, that the custom at the time was that women who were married, they didn't follow Ekadashi, but those who were widows, they would follow Ekadashi. So sometimes there are various traditions that families follow, but those traditions should be rooted in the scriptural injunctions and the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dharma tu shakshat bhagavat pranitam. The religion means to follow the orders of God. So when the residents of Vrindavan were arranging for a big sacrifice in the in the fall, after the rainy season, to satisfy Indra, the demigod of the weather, Lord Krishna, as a young boy of 7, said, "Is this just by tradition, or is this actually from the Vedas?" So what was Nanda Maharaj's response?
Tradition, everybody is doing it. That's why we are doing it too.
Yes. He said it's more or less tradition. More or less it's tradition. So traditions, when they're consistent with the desires and instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's helpful. But if they are in conflict or not, then one should try to rectify that. The active principle being the orders, the direct orders of Krishna through his representatives, through the Shastras. So in this case, the tradition was married ladies with husband don't have to follow Ekadashi, but Lord Chaitanya said, no, please follow, don't eat grains on the Ekadashi day. And he was protecting his mother from these bad results, even though she's the mother of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this statement here, even if you're elevated to a Vaikuntha planet, you may fall down. Usually we say that when you go back to Godhead, you don't come back, isn't it? Usually say that, but here it looks like there's some kind of a possible exception. So we have to be very careful about this. Questions, comments?
So there is no debate. I mean, it is very clear. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted. This is what Prabhupada wanted. So this is the injunction. But just on a technicality, in other places we have read that food that has been cooked over 3 hours should not be eaten. So how do we reconcile that then? Here it says
Ordinary food, but
Oh.
Mahaprasadam is different. We
Oh.
can take that anytime. Any, you know, because it's offered, it's none different than Lord Krishna. We're offering to Lord Krishna. We're offering to Lord Krishna. We don't like that cooked way in advance. Of course, there's exceptions to that. For example, sweet rice, usually you cool it down for some time. But in general, those regular cooked food like rice, dal, sabji, those kinds of things, chapati, those things, generally. But once it's offered, save that, use that, take that prasadam. Early at night, as soon as possible is nice, but not always possible. Here it says the next day. Okay, text 10.
শচী কহে না খাইব ভালোই কহিলা সেই হইতে একাদশী করিতে লাগিলা
Mother Sachi said, you have spoken very nicely. I shall not eat grains on Ekadashi. From that day, she began to observe fasting on Ekadashi. Purport is a prejudice amongst Smarta Brahmins that a widow must observe fasting on Ekadashi, but not a woman who is sadhava, who has her husband, should not. It appears that before Lord Chaitanya's request, Sachimata, being sadhava, was not observing Ekadashi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, introduced the system that a woman, even not a widow, must observe Ekadashi day and must not touch any kind of grains, even those offered to the deity of Vishnu. Text 11.
তবে মিশ্র বিশ্বরূপের দেখিয়া যৌবন কন্যা চাহি বিবাহ দিতে করিলেন মন
Thereafter, seeing that Visharup was a grown-up youth, Jagannath Mishra wanted to find a girl and arrange a marriage ceremony for him.
বিশ্বরূপ শুনি ঘর ছাড়ি পলাইলা সন্ন্যাস করিয়া তীর্থ করিবারে গেলা
Hearing of this, Vishvarup immediately left home and went away to accept sannyas and travel from one place of pilgrimage to another.
শুনি শচী মিশ্রের দুঃখী হইল মন তবে প্রভু মাতা পিতার কইল আশ্বাসন
When Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra heard of the departure of their elder son, Visharup, they were very unhappy. But Lord Chaitanya tried to console them.
ভালো হইল বিশ্বরূপ সন্ন্যাস করিল পিতৃকুল মাতৃকুল দুই উদ্ধারিল
My dear mother and father, the Lord said, it is very good that Visharup has accepted the sannyas order. For thus he has delivered both his father's family and his mother's family. Purport. It is sometimes said that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disapproved of the acceptance of the sannyas order in this Kali Yuga because in the Shastra it is said, Ashvamedham Gavalambham Sannyasam Palapaitrakam Devarena sutotpattim kalau pancha vivarjayet. In this age of Kali, 5 acts are forbidden. The offering of a horse in sacrifice, the offering of a cow in sacrifice, the acceptance of the order of sannyas, the offering of oblations of flesh to the forefathers, and a man begetting children in his brother's wife. Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Krishna Janmakanda, 185-180. Nevertheless, we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself accepted sannyas and approved of the sannyas of his elder brother Visharup. It is clearly said here, Bhala hoila Visharup sannyas koila pitrakul matrikul dvi udharila. Therefore, should it be thought that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made statements that are contradictory? No, actually he did not. It is recommended that one accept sannyas to dedicate his life for the service of the Lord, and everyone must take that kind of sannyas. For by accepting such sannyas, one renders the best service to both his paternal and maternal families. But one should not accept the sannyas order of the Mayavad school, which has practically no meaning. We find many Mayavadi sannyasis simply loitering in the street, thinking themselves Brahman or Narayan, and spending all day and night begging so they can fill their hungry bellies. Mayavadi sannyasis have become so degraded that there is a section of them who eat everything, just like hogs and dogs. It is such degraded sannyas that is prohibited in this age. Actually, Srila Shankaracharya's principles for the acceptance of sannyas were very strict, but later so the so-called Mayavadi sannyasis became degraded because of their false philosophy, which propounds that by accepting sannyas one becomes Narayan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected that kind of sannyas, but the acceptance of sannyas is one of the items of the Varnashram Dharma. How then can it be rejected? So we have this verse from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Ashvamedha Gavalamban Sannyasam Palapaitrakam. And this verse, you might know that it was quoted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You remember when? Do you remember when Lord Chaitanya quoted this verse?
When
Yes,
he was talking to Ramananda Roy?
No.
when he
Kavali
was
Prabhu.
talking to Chankazi
Ah, yes,
Chankazi
very good. Yes,
about killing the cow.
because Chankazi had said, Lord Chaitanya said something like, what kind of religion is it that kills your father and mother? It's okay. So then Chankazi, who was a little bit familiar with Hindu principles, said, even in your Vedas, there's the, you kill the cow and the horse, sacrifice. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, actually, the killing of the cow and the bull, those sacrifices was not meant for killing. But by the chanting of the mantras, the animal, an old animal, would go into the fire and get a new body by the chanting of mantras properly. So it wasn't for killing. But people in this age of Kali, the Brahmins don't know. They can't rejuvenate the bodies of these animals, so therefore it's forbidden. Ashvamedha Gavalama. Then he said, any Hindu who know whoever he may be, never indulges in cow killing. The cow killers are condemned to rot in hellish life for as many thousands of years as there are hairs on the body of the cow. So he quoted this verse at that time. So some people say, well, the sannyas is there, so how can we, just like that, we can, you're forbidding cow and horse sacrifice, then you should be forbidding sannyas also. And even some within various Vaishnava sampradayas say that also, that Vaishnavas sannyas is not approved in Kali Yuga. And they cite, Lord Chaitanya cited this verse. And at the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vaishnava sannyas wasn't very well known. And also at the time of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Vaishnav sannyas had been not very commonly practiced. So there was a lot of confusion about the issue of sannyas in the Vaishnav sampradayas. So devotees would have to address this. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, in reference to the same query, he mentioned that this, when Lord Caitanya mentioned this verse, he didn't mention it to forbid sannyas, he mentioned it to forbid the killing of the cow and the horse. So the sannyas was something separate. He said this Brahma Vaivarta Purana it's a Rajasic Purana, and it particularly, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned, it's meant to prevent people to discourage people from following karma sannyas or mayavad sannyas. Not that a person who wants to dedicate their life for the service of Krishna, which is the natural condition of the soul, Jiver Svaruphoi Krishna Nitya Das. The natural propensity of the soul is to serve and fully the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he said there's no Vedic reference that will forbid the surrender and the complete service of the Supreme Lord by the individual soul. He said like that. Then he said, but if you actually examine not just the Gaudiya Sampradaya, but there's 4 Vaishnav Sampradayas. Which are they? The Rudra Sampradaya, the Kumar Sampradaya, the Sri Sampradaya, and the Madhva Sampradaya, and the prominent teachers of all 4 Sampradayas. Guess what? They're all sannyasis, and they're all in Kali Yuga. Not just that, but Lord Chaitanya's guru, Ishar Puri, and his guru were also, Madhavendra Puri, were also sannyasis. And Lord Chaitanya himself surrounded himself with many sannyas associates like Swarup Damodar, Brahmananda Bharati, Prabodhananda Saraswati. So it's a false argument that Lord Chaitanya disapproved of sannyas. This is an example of one has to get the understanding of the Vedas, not just by own personal interpretation, but through the understanding of the Guru. Even if you try to understand the Vedas on your own intelligent understanding or analysis, there's danger because the information and the understanding should be received in disciplic succession through the Lord, by the Lord himself, down through the same information, the same teachings through the parampara to get to ourselves. And that information is there. Lord Chaitanya himself took sannyas at an early age, 24. He had a very affectionate mother and wife, but for a higher purpose, he renounced. And for the purpose of spreading Krishna consciousness all throughout the Indian subcontinent, he took sannyas. This is an example of one of the 6 opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aishvaryasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yashasya Jnana. What is it?
Jnana Vairagya.
Vairagya. Lord Chaitanya and as Krishna is the supremely renounced, even though it's such a wonderful system in Navadvip. His mother was there, his beautiful wife was there. Not only of followers, very, very enthusiastic and devoted followers there in the Navadvip area, so much so that when he called for Sankirtan, 100,000 people at the drop of a hat came to participate. But he gave that all up. That's called Vairagya. That same Vairagya was also just demonstrated by Lord Ramchandra when there was a question, even though he had already tested Sita Devi's chastity, but there was some question. So he said, okay, for the higher purpose of the confidence of the subjects, he had her go stay at the ashram of Valmiki Muni. Vairagya. But not just Vairagya for any purpose, as mentioned here, becoming Narayan, but to engage more fully in service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna. Questions, comments, statements?
Prabhu, isn't it Iswara Puri was a Mayavadi sannyasi or something?
No, it was a
No,
Vaishnava.
Vaishnava sannyasi.
Yeah. They're in the line of Madhavendra Puri, because Madhavendra Puri was in the line of Madhvacharya. And the difference between the Madhvas and the Gaudiyas is that in the Madhva Sampradaya, prior to Madhavendra Puri and Lord Chaitanya, the emphasis was primarily on following the Varna and Ashram for the purpose of serving Krishna ultimately. In the Gaudiya Sampradaya, which the seeds began with Madhavendra Puri, the focus is on developing Krishna Prema, love of God, not just following the rules and regulations of Varnashram, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So Madhavendra Puri was a sannyasi in that line of the Madhva Sampradaya, but as an eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya, he began this aspect. He planted this aspect of love of God in that Sampradaya. There's a special verse that he's chanted that devotees memorize. Ai Dina Dayadranata He Maturanata Katavalokshase. Oh, which the acharyas say this is the seed of the feelings of separation between Krishna and his devotees. Other comments? Next.
আমি তো করিব তোমা দুহার সেবন, শুনিয়া সন্তুষ্ট হইল পিতা মাতার মন।
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu assured his parents that he would serve them. And thus the minds of his father and mother were satisfied.
একদিন নৈবেদ্য তাম্বুল খাইয়া ভূমিতে পড়িলা প্রভু অচেতন হয়া।
One day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate betel nuts offered to the deity, but they acted as an intoxicant, and he fell down on the ground unconscious. Purport: betel nuts are an intoxicant, and therefore the regulative principles prohibit eating them. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime of fainting after eating betel nut is a solid instruction to all of us that one should not touch betel nuts, even those offered to Vishnu, just as one should not touch grains on the Ekadashi day. Of course, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's fainting had a particular purpose. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can do whatever he likes and eat whatever he likes, but we should not imitate his pastimes. We had a discussion, I think maybe a week and a half ago, me and Krishna Kirtan Prabhu. Are you still there, Krishna Kirtan Prabhu? No? Okay. About when Lord Krishna pretends, like there was a time when Lord Krishna had a headache. And so there's a question of, was it pretending? Did he actually have a headache or did he not have a headache? Do you remember this? Of course, Krishna can have whatever he likes. Later, Prananath Prabhu showed me where Prabhupada said that Krishna pretended to have a headache. So there was some discussion we had. And of course, Krishna's pretending is different than our pretending. If a child pretends, they have some purpose that is to get out of school or something like that. But pretending, Krishna's pretending is also kind of real. So then I did a search of the Veda base for the word pretending, and I came up with many references. One I was kind of surprised at, where Srila Prabhupada commented that Lord Krishna pretended to be a fish. And that is, any guesses? Matsya. So Lord Krishna's pretending is reality in some cases, especially in that case. Matsya avatar. A whole pastime is there. And Prabhupada had mentioned Krishna pretended to be a fish. So in this case, Lord Caitanya took the betel nut. I mean, you find that betel mixed in this, you call it sopari? What do you call it? Is that what you call it? How do you say that?
Supari.
Supari. And that's like ground up betel nut mixed with some spices or what?
Not necessarily. The betel nut itself is also called supari.
Okay. And sometimes they mix it?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Vaishnavas avoid that since it's an intoxicant. Sometimes especially in northern India, you see people chewing that red stuff, and it's people get some kind of cancers from that. It's a little disgusting, and they spit them everywhere. Just like in the West, people used to chew tobacco and they spit. Not for a devotee of Krishna. Text 17.
Aste byaste pita mata mukhe dilo pani shushto hoya kohe prabhu apurbo kahini.
After his father and mother sprinkled water on his mouth with great taste, the Lord revived and said something wonderful they had never heard before.
Etha hoite bishwarup more loya gela shannash karo ho tumi amare kohila.
The Lord said, Vishwarup took me away from here, and he requested me to accept the sannyas order. So this is as he's unconscious, supposedly unconscious or pretending to be unconscious from the betel nut. Yeah, so he had this dream. Okay.
Ami kohi amar onath pita mata. Ami balok sannasher kiba jani kotha.
I replied to Vishwarup, I have my helpless father and mother, and also I am but a child. What do I know about the sannyas order of life?
Brihasto hoiya koribo pita matar shebon. Ihatei tushto hoben Lokhi Narayan.
Later, I shall become a householder and thus serve my parents. For this action will very much satisfy Lord Narayan and his wife, the goddess of fortune.
Tobe Bishwarup iha pathailo more matake kohiyo koti koti namaskare.
Then Vishwarup returned me home and requested, offer thousands and thousands of obeisances unto my mother Shachi Devi.
Ei moto nana lila kore gaur hori ki karone lila iha bujite na pari.
In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed various pastimes, but why he did so I cannot understand. Purport: the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees who come to this world are executing a mission. And therefore, sometimes they act in a way that is very difficult to understand. It is said, therefore, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigye Na Bhujai. Even if one is very learned and intelligent scholar, he cannot understand the activities of a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava accepts anything favorable for executing his mission. But foolish persons, not knowing the purpose of such exalted Vaishnavas, indulge in criticizing them. But that is forbidden. Since no one can understand what a Vaishnava does for the purpose of executing his mission, to criticize such a Vaishnava is the offense called sadhu ninda. So anything come to mind about this not understanding the mission of the Vaishnava?
But here it refers to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes.
The thing is, generally we don't find this kind of statement anywhere, especially maybe rarely. I have not seen openly claiming that I cannot understand. It is said that his pastimes are inconceivable like that, but why he did, I cannot understand like that. It is not. We don't find anywhere such kind of statement, right? Srimad Bhagavatam also. Lord is no one can know unless he wants to reveal it, but his open statement by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami that I cannot understand.
Yes. Yes. I'm just thinking a couple things. When Srila Prabhupada was fighting for the land at Juhu, even his close secretaries were thinking, oh, Srila Prabhupada is just attached to that particular land. And so they agreed to give it up at one point. It was directly against Srila Prabhupada's order, because they couldn't understand. Even, it says here, even a very learned and intelligent scholar cannot understand. So even those people who are very close to Srila Prabhupada couldn't understand his purpose there in being separate. They considered he was attached to that particular piece of land just for material reasons. But no, he had made a promise to Lord Krishna that he would build him a temple there. And so he did amazing things to facilitate that happening. Some other examples might be there. I'm sure there are. Maybe we can think about for next time. It's a nice exercise. Vaishnavara Kriya Mudra Vigye Na Bujai. It's not only Supreme Personality of Godhead is difficult to understand, but the Vaishnavas also sometimes are difficult.
What about people criticizing the God brother, some of the smart Brahmin, criticizing Srila Prabhupada for giving Brahman to the, mlechas and
Yes.
and so,
Yes.
Yeah.
Good point. The Westerners,
mhm.
Not just a Brahmin initiation, but becoming sannyasis and becoming and gurus also, all that stuff. Those who are on the conservative side in the understanding that quote unquote Hindu religion, they'll not be comfortable with that. In fact, in the University of Maryland, the Hare Krishna devotees had a club that went on there for some time. India Club, they called it, the India Club, I believe. But there was a backlash against it because many of the devotees who were involved in that, even the people who were students at University of Maryland, say, hey, these people aren't all from India. Therefore, what do they know about? What do they know about Indian culture? So they kicked them out. They couldn't understand this. They couldn't understand. The essence of Vedic culture is not for people only in India, but it's the same culture can pervade. It's the essential culture for all people in all the world. Otherwise, how did it spread? How has it spread all over the world? By chanting Hare Krishna, offering food to Krishna, dancing. people all over the world have been introduced and appreciated this teachings of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Caitanya Charitamrita. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.